Welcome back to the Profit Builder Unscripted. I'm Vicky Suter, your host. And if you're looking for more ways to be able to get out of micromanaging in your business and find more time in your day, make sure to listen to this episode. All right, let's jump in. This week, I've had this great opportunity to remember what my goal is with my team. And when I say remember what my goal is, one of the things that I said a year ago that I was doing was to really have my team step up, take more ownership, for me to get out of the middle of making all these decisions in my business and really empower people to rise up to their next level of greatness. And it's been a journey, and I've done a lot of recordings on this podcast about sort of what I've learned along the way and where the bumps and the grinds have been in the road. And even just this week, realizing that there are so many places where I have wanted to insert myself, and I have said that I needed to have an opinion or I needed to be the final say about things. And that I've really stopped and thought about the fact that I have been investing in these people to really make decisions on their own. And they're people that I trust, and they're people that I count on to think through things in a way that I believe they can make the best decision, and that I don't have to be the one to be the final say or to be in the middle of the mix in figuring out all the details to make a decision. And it was great. I really, I stopped myself from inserting myself this week into making some big decisions about how to proceed with hiring someone, as an example. And it feels really good. Like I'm seeing how my team, when I am not the fallback position, are really stepping up to take more ownership and to really think through a decision. And in part of what prompted this whole thing was even just in a meeting with a client last week. I was meeting with the owner and the general manager and two project managers. And they wanted my input about how to shift some things in some processes around. One of them had to do with 2-week look aheads. The other one had to do with their project job cost meetings and cost to complete meetings. And they wanted me to sit in on the meeting and give them my thoughts about how they could maybe improve the process or how it could be more efficient and what have you. And as I sat in the meeting, and they went through what their process was, and they kind of walked through how their meeting normally would go. And when they were done, they turned to me and said, "Well, what's your thoughts? What's your feedback?" And I turned around and I said to the project managers who were there, I said, "What do you think do you think that this process works very well? Is there something that you would change or some place that you could improve this process to have it work better?" And what was so great at that moment is that I watched these two project managers offer up their thoughts and their opinions about how it could work more efficiently and how they could manage that process better, and that the owner, who had been part of those meetings up until that point, didn't need to be in the process. And the general manager steps up and goes, "Yeah, we can create this KPI, key performance indicator, metrics that will give us feedback on the critical items you need to know about, but you don't have to the owner, Everson, you don't need to be in the middle of those meetings." And it was so, and we, as the meeting went on and we talked about these couple different types of meetings they have and deliverables that the project managers are responsible for, the owner, Everson, got to watch how their team stepped up. And he got to watch how their team had some really great ideas about how to have it work more efficiently and to cut down on the amount of time that they were in meetings. And we got to talk about what are the most critical deliverables and what are the elements that really drive success in that particular area of the business. And one of the things as a contractor that they came up with was, and we all talked about, was schedule. Schedule is a key driver to cost. It's a key driver to making sure that you're meeting your milestones, making sure that materials are there when they need to, making sure you have the labor that you need, subs are scheduled properly, like all those elements really drive around the schedule. And so we had this very dynamic conversation around how does project schedule really impact the results? Well, in the process of having that discussion with all of them, they left the meeting with Everson not having to be in, who's the owner, doesn't have to be in the middle of all those meetings with everybody. And that the team got to see how their contribution and their ideas and their ability to be able to look at, all right, what's the most critical elements and contribute to a better way of doing things, built their confidence in how they saw their participation, which was awesome. And then secondly, gave the owner the ability to go, oh, they've thought through that. I know that I can trust them to do that. And so, between that experience last week, which then, as I say, gave me an opportunity to really look at, all right, how am I engaging with my team? And am I in the middle of too many meetings and too many decisions? And how can I step back some, but also know that things are being done in a way that I can trust that they're being done the way that I would want them to, or that are best serving to our business. And it was just a really great example of how do you navigate that line of, I don't want to abdicate, just like, say, hey, it's yours and let go of it. And then how do I make sure that it's being done, but I don't have to be in the middle of it, right? So where's that fine line between those two? And with my team, we have a feedback system whereby they say, here's what I've come up with as my answer, and here's why, and here's what my next action is. Here's how I'm going to move that forward. With Everson and his team, they did the same thing with, okay, here's how you'll know it's done, and here's the feedback that we're going to give you every week to let you know that we're on track. And here's the form and format that's going to happen in. And so when you're looking at delegating more to your team, how do you do it with a way that you're not, as they say, abdicating, but you're getting the feedback to let you know that it's getting done and it's getting done in the way that you all agreed on. So my invitation to you is to look at how many places in your business are you in the middle of the mix? And maybe you need to get yourself out of the middle of the mix, but still get feedback to let you know that things are working the way that you have agreed on with your team, that you're getting to the results that you all agreed on are the critical results for that position. And what this requires is having good feedback systems in place. And so I think the question that you want to ask for yourself is, what kind of feedback do we have that let us know if we're on track or off track? And that includes both your team and you. And one of the things I always say is that if it can't be measured, it can't be managed, not by them and not by you. So what's the measurable feedback that you have that lets you actually know and them know if it got done? So my invitation to you, again, this week is to look at, A, are you in the middle of too many conversations and too many meetings? And B, how can you get out of it, but in a way that you have good feedback to let you know that things are being done properly and in a way that you've agreed on? Because that's the pathway to more profits in your business, is consistent results. And it's the pathway to you spending less time in your business and less time in constantly having to be in the middle of the mix of everything. So I hope you found this to be helpful. I would love your thoughts about it. Make sure to drop a note below. Let me know And I'm interested to know too, like what systems do you have that you've come up with that have helped you better manage your business so that you're not in the middle of micromanaging everything? And if this is still a place that is challenging for you, then my next invitation to you is that you reach out to me and that we maybe talk about if the contractors collective group that I run is a good place for you to get support and being able to make more money on your bottom line and spend less time in your business. The link for the Contractors Collective is below, also so that you can get information about it. And also below is a link to my calendar. If you want to grab a time, a 30-minute slot in my calendar to chat about it, chat about your business, see if it's a right fit, I'm happy to talk with you about that. All right. Again, would love to hear your thoughts and input about this topic today. And thank you. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to seeing you next time on the Profit Builder Unscripted.